Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. Hope you're doing good today. So we're going to turn one of those hybrids that we made on Wednesday. I kind of pronounced that funny, hybrids. So we did, I kind of forgot to put the aluminum honeycomb in one of them, but we got it in the other one. So I decided to turn up one of the ones with the aluminum honeycomb in it. They're both kind of the same thing, but I don't know. I figured I'd turn one of these because maybe we'll run into something where I need to kind of cover something about the aluminum honeycomb. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. So anyway, hope you're all doing good today. So here are the results, if you didn't see them, of our blanks. So they're looking pretty sweet. This was the first batch without the honeycomb. But the thing is, they're still gonna look awesome, you know, so we didn't get some honeycomb in there, but pretty cool looking, I think. Not too shabby. We got all kinds of crazy colors. Good picks with the chat. And then here's our honeycombs, and then we got our blank that's ready. But here's the honeycomb ones. These ones should actually have some kind of interesting color combinations because we put like orange and copper in there. So I think it's going to be kind of an interesting mixture of like almost like a lava with some purple in there. Probably a good one for Phoenix Suns fans. Pretty close to that. Pretty close. So that's what we got. We got our blanks. These are going to be going to the mystery boxes. And then we're going to turn one of them up today. So what's everybody working on in your shops today? Let me know in the comments if you got something going on, if you got some plans, all that kind of good stuff. Let's see. So, and I apologize. I totally thought that I had the stream set up. And then about 10 minutes before noon, I was like, oh, I don't think I set it up yet. So some of you guys probably didn't get notifications because I didn't put it up until like right before we started stuff. So I apologize for that. I had everything ready, and then it's one of those things where I was like, I sat down at the computer to get everything set up after I got the picture and all that stuff. And then, you know, your brain is like squirrel. And I was like, oh, I got to go do this or that and start 3D printing something. And then I started doing something on the table saw, and then, you know. So that's why you didn't get a notification most likely, but it should be flooding people with notifications now that we got it started. So it looks like Kim was here first, and Paul and Mark. Who else is here? Brian's here. Kevin, nice. And David's here, sweet. Awesome, so we got some people. Looks like we got about 22, it says. So if you're not in the chat yet, hello, welcome. So I think that's about all that I got to start off with. What we're going to turn is a cigar style pen. I have lots of those kits. So I decided to go with gold. It just seemed like it would look pretty good. I don't know. I kind of like the blue color of the wood. It's got a little bit of a kind of some blue, darker kind of weird blue in there. So I thought that would look pretty good with gold. I don't know. I'm not usually a gold kind of person, but I think it'll look pretty good on this one. And so I got links to the cigar style pen kits at Turner's Warehouse, and I just looked, and they're actually on sale right now. I think they're like $6 or something like that, 7. So at least this gold one was. So here's a link to those if you want to pick up any pen kits. There might be different, they have a ton of different cigar style ones, so I don't know if like there's certain kinds are on sale or what, but the gold one was like 6 or 7, I think. Yeah, I really like the cigar style. It's good for me because you kind of have a pretty thick blank at the end. It's not like, you know, like a slim line. It ends up, because the blank, you just don't have a lot of, unless you leave it like really fat and it's like, you know, odd proportion kind of thing, which is fine. I don't usually do that. For like kind of following like the look of the pen, you can get it really fat and keep quite a bit of the blank. So I kind of like that for my blanks because we usually have stuff in them, you know. So that's one of the things. Plus they're cheap and they look good and they work good. They're comfortable. So that's, I don't know, kind of one of my favorites. Roy, how's it going? All right, and Mark Ellis is here too. Sweet. See, Mark Ellis is working on some dragons and nauticals. I like those kits. I don't know if I've done a dragon. There's like a few different types, so I've done some dragon one. I really liked the nautical kit. That was really a nice one. And Mark L is working on a couple pen turnings and another turning project. After you decide how well it works, I hear you. David's working on some brass thumb screws. Nice. That's cool. Cool. And let's see. Just shared it on Facebook. Sweet. All right, so let's head over to the lathe and let's get some shavings making. So I'm going to do, my typical. We're going to turn these between centers. And I have links to where you can get all this set up. This is called a dead center. You got a live center, and both of them have 60-degree cones on them. This guy drives the blank. This one just spins freely. Hopefully that's on camera, kind of. Yep. And that's about it with that. I don't like the mandrels personally. I always had issues with them. So I switched to this many years ago, and I like it quite a bit. The drawback is you can only do, like in this case, if you had a mandrel, you could put both blanks on the lathe at once and turn them, but I don't know that you really save that much time necessarily with it. I like it because it's also shorter distance, so you're gonna get kind of a more accurate thing. I think if your lathe is set up well, your tailstock doesn't have slop in it or anything like that, mandrels are a little bit better, but I was using lathes that had slop and all that stuff, and so you might notice if your mandrel is if you're having issues with stuff, it's usually the blank that's furthest away from the headstock, because the mandrel can kind of wobble, and it's wobbling more the further you get away from the headstock, and so I always found that second blank was always messed up anyway. So, all right, let's see here. We're going to turn the dust collection on. Open the port there. Let me just get a couple things going here. I did switch, right? Yeah, okay. Try and keep this somewhat quietish. And we're going to use some easy wood tools. Negative rake. I'm using the mini finisher today. It's kind of a short handle thing. You don't really need anything super long for pin blanks. All right, so let's get rolling here. I got the lathe as fast as it'll go. Let me turn my phone back on here. Oh, what did I just do? Hey, Jennifer's here. How's it going? I feel so bad. I keep forgetting to send your sticker out. I found your address, so we're good to go. I just need to do it. I'll probably try and get that out on Monday. Hey, Jake's here. What's up, man? Yeah, I just had nothing but problems. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't know how to use them right, but I don't have to worry about it with this, But I found I would take a mandrel, like a brand new mandrel out. This happened like 2 or 3 times, and the thing's already bent. And it had nothing to do with pressure. It's just wobbling around, and I tried all the different mandrel saver things, and I gave up. It was enough of a pain for me to be done with it. Whoa. Let's tighten that tailstock up. How about that? That made all kinds of noise. Turns better when you tighten things. Pro tip. Whoa. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Anita's here. And Donna's here too. What's up? And DJ just made it. What lathe do I have? I've got the Laguna Revo 2436. And I was telling you that I had lathes. So I originally, when I was talking about having issues with the mandrel, I was using a Shopsmith, and the tailstock, I mean, there was no way to lock it down. It just moved all over the place. And then I had one of the older Nova Comets, and it was okay, but right around in that time, I was just done with mandrels. And the TBC stuff was just starting to come out, and I didn't really run into issues turning things. It was actually more finishing. When I would put a CA finish on, I would constantly burn through sanding on the farther one. And it just, I mean, I literally bought probably about 10 different mandrels, and I had problems with every one of them. So the minute I switched to turning between centers, I was immediately good at CA finishes, and I was like, well, so I never looked back. But yeah, so with this lathe, I don't know, I've never even tried using a mandrel on it. What I was gonna say is, so with this Honeycomb, you know, you can use carbide, and that, you know, obviously that's working fine. You can use negative rake, you can use standard cutters as well. And in this case with hybrids, this wood is really hard. And a lot of times you might actually get a little bit better cut if you're using a standard cutter on that. So but you gotta, you know, be a little bit careful when you're getting into the resin. I never really had any issues with a standard cutter on pen blanks necessarily. As long as you're not, you know, being aggressive with it, you should be okay. But generally, I like the negative rake cutters for everything, so I don't really switch them out. But you can also use high-speed steel on this aluminum Honeycomb, and it's going to be just fine. It'll cut it like butter. So, oh, you guys are is Alabama playing? Where's Vols? Volunteers, Tennessee. Are they playing each other today? Do they play each other? I don't even know. Let's continue on here. Man, that Burl is hard. So I die stabilized the Burl with cactus juice. And it's interesting. It's got actually, I did multiple colors. And so like part of this is just brown, so it didn't even take up any color. Super kind of dense area in the grain. And then I got blue right here. And then we also have some green. So it's pretty wild colors here. Let's get you guys a side view so you can kind of see what's going on with this. And the cool thing is all of the blanks have this same wood in it, so it's going to have, you know, similar characteristics for the folks that are getting these in the mystery boxes. So we got some green right here, blue, and then brown, which it didn't take up any dye. So certain woods, especially like spalted woods, which there's a spalting line. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spalting line between the brown and the green, and spalting usually halts the take up of dyes and stuff. Like it'll kind of change things. So with spalted woods, you can really get some pretty crazy colors when you dye stabilize them. All right, let's get you guys back over here. Oh. Okay. Tennessee's playing Akron. Oh, okay. Oh, you're headed to the game. Cool. I like college football. It's kind of, I like it a little bit more than NFL. I went to UNLV, so our football hopes and dreams. Football for us was just really a tailgate party. if we made it into the game, whatever. Our football team is terrible. The only thing that we cared about was beating UNR, the team in Reno, because that's the only two colleges in Nevada. Our arch rivals. Nice. Free tickets is the best. I've never been, well, I've been to one kind of big game. Like some of these colleges, like, think of like, just because I know someone that went there, Michigan games, like that's a huge deal. I'm sure Alabama, Ohio State, like some of these big name schools, like I have been to one thing, so I actually got to watch USC play UCLA. That was pretty awesome, so that was a huge game. But I've never, besides that, I've never been to like one of the big schools games. It's got to be amazing. One thing that I will caution you, a lot of us like to kind of stick our fingers on pen blanks while they're turning and feel them and do all that. I would caution you, and I have to watch myself, this is metal, and if any little strand of this stuff is kind of sticking out and you start wiping your finger on the blank while it's spinning, you could really kind of get hurt, so try to resist the urge to feel the blank while you're turning it when there's metal chunks in it, Man, that Burl is hard. Let me just see if my cutter might be. I've had that cutter on there for quite a while now. Let's see if a different cutter. No, not really. A little bit better, but stuff is hard. Cuts the aluminum and resin great. So I think I just recently got I don't usually even keep the standard cutters like on hand, but I did just buy some. So I'm gonna actually swap out just to kind of show you guys the difference between, because this Burl is just really dense and hard. It's just not cutting very well. I'm gonna put a standard cutter on, and it should gobble it up, no problem. And so if you're doing some of the larger turnings also, you might kind of run into that same issue where the standard cutters cut the wood a little bit better. And then your negative rakes, they cut the resin like butter, it's just awesome. And so one game plan that you might, depending, usually I don't run into issues like this with this Burl. This stuff is super hard. That piece was like, it absorbed so much cactus juice, it was kind of nuts. It was like almost like just a punky piece of wood that just, so the wood is mostly cactus juice, I think. But if you're doing something like a bowl or something, one game plan you might have is to put a standard cutter on first and not worry that, if you're getting some chip outs and little stuff on the resin, just kind of hog off material with your standard cutter and then switch over to a negative rake to get everything cleaned up, because you're not going to be, sometimes you get that kind of like that tear out almost, or whatever, the chipping in resins with the standard cutter. But just be aware, you know, the standard cutters are a lot more aggressive in wood and resin. But the standard cutters actually cut, you know. And you can turn the pen, you know, it's not going to do anything. It's cutting that resin nice. It's just you have to be a little bit more careful. Sudden movements or pushing too hard, or if you tend to drop the end of your handle and your cutter leading edge is starting to kind of lean up, that's even more aggressive. So if anything, you would want a standard cutter to be kind of angled, you know, downward. That's less aggressive. That's the whole point of the negative rake. So there's different ways that you can kind of deal with, you know, resin and hybrids and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with the standard cutter, especially easy wood tools. I mean, these things cut. Did you see those ribbons coming off the resin? I'm being a little bit careful here, but I mean, it actually cuts the resin, you know, very nicely. So I just wanted to kind of, you know, you don't always have to use negative rake for everything. If the situation dictates pulling out a standard cutter, then go for it, you know, if you got them on hand. Yeah, okay. Another problem I'm having is my tool rest is choppy. I need to give it a little sanding again. So I'm just gonna knock down some of this here. On camera. Yeah. I'm just gonna give it a little bit. This is 240 grit. Just kind of clean up any. I might have some CA glue or God knows what on this thing. Just gonna kind of give that a little quick sanding. And then I'm going to hit it with some paste wax. And I think things are going to, I'm just kind of like jittering around on this thing, and it's just not, it's not going to produce pretty pen results, you know what I mean? All right, so let's see here. Packers, Redskins, wow, that'd be a good one. You of Colorado. Good, yeah, good season if you won a game. Yeah, that's how UNLV is. The funny thing is, like, for many years they would, like, and I don't know about this year or anything, I haven't really watched, but they would always play like these, like, kind of, you know, it's not like, I don't know, we're not going to walk into like Alabama or something like that, or Ohio State, you know. But, like, you know, fairly decent larger schools, you know, that are pretty good. Like we'd like play them like the first game of the season and beat them sometimes. And then we couldn't win like the easiest teams in our league, in our division, and I'm just like, what is the deal with these guys? They win like the first 2 games and then lose all the rest of them. But I don't really follow football that much though anyway, so. Baseball is kind of the sport that I follow. There we go, look at that, it's nice and smooth. All right, so I got the majority of the wood handled. I'm gonna actually just switch back to the negative rake. I can finish it with the standard, but I just, man, I'll tell you what, the negative rake cutters, you just don't even have to think about anything with them. They just are, they're on your side, you know, they're part of the team. Just don't get any weird catches or anything. I can pay less attention, honestly, to the turning. Nice, great outdoors. That's cool. Man, this thing is still jumping around on the tool rest. What the heck? I gave the actual tool a little bit of a quick sanding. That seems to be working a little better. I'm not familiar with the Great Outdoors kit. What does that one have on it? What is it, or what does it look like? Tennessee's baseball team was on fire? Nice. This thing's looking pretty good so far. Alright, so I gotta just get this wood down to the bushings over here. Uh-oh, I think we got a chunk fly out. That's not good. So the problem with honeycomb, no matter what kind you get, it's just not the best bond. And so, you know, I found the best that I could find, but you're still gonna end up getting, every once in a while, a little chunk come out. And what I found is when you've turned it down, let me try and get the camera in here to show you guys. When there's just like a sliver left, that's usually where you get like some kind of a tear out piece. It just kind of rips it out of there when there's just not much honeycomb left, or I mean like resin left. So like right, see this little guy, I'm surprised that didn't come out. But we got a little chunk that kind of came out right here. So not much you can do in this case, especially being down at the end. We're gonna be putting a CA finish on this, so I'll try and fill that. But that's kind of one of the drawbacks to honeycomb. You know, you be as careful as possible, but you might get a little chip out. Now, it's not going to be like the worst thing in the world. I'm just going to have to fill that up with some CA glue, but you know, it ain't fun either when that happens, especially like kind of close to the end. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, there's not much I can do about that. Yeah, University of Arizona. There's quite a few good college baseball teams. I don't keep up with college baseball. I'm a MLB kind of guy. But 3/4 inch inside diameter bushings. If you need something custom made, TBC bushings probably can make it for you. All right, so let's see here. I think we're good. What I'm going to do real quick is we're going to drop a couple of. I'm just going to use the Starbond thick and just kind of try to fill this. The problem is it's so close to the bushing that I'm probably going to kind of get that stuck. But I'll do my best here. And I mean, I could maybe try to like dye the CA glue or something, but I don't know. You're probably going to put too much dye in it. It's really hard for me to get I need a new tip on this thing, I think. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna switch nozzles. I don't know if my thick is, oh, that's probably part of the reason why. Hold on real quick. I think it's time to bust out the new thick bottle of thick CA. This stuff's pretty old. All right, so let's see if we can get this to work better now. So I just put a little drop in there. What I'm going to do is kind of like put a bunch of little drops and then cure it. With the accelerator. That might actually be enough. I'm gonna stop there and see how that looks after we start sanding it. That might have actually been enough to fill that. It's just a shallow little dip kind of thing. I don't know if you can, I doubt you can really see that it's filled now, but so let's just start there and see what happens here. Try and sand it. That burl wood is pretty rough stuff, so I think I'm going to start with 180. I'm going to need a new piece of that. Let's see here. There it is. Cut a little piece off with my Abernet. Alex, what's up, man? Yeah, so if you just go to tbcbushings.com, he's actually, a lot of times he's in the chat here also, but tbcbushings.com. He makes pen kit bushings and all that stuff. And if you need, between center bushings also, his are the best. His are a little bit more expensive than the ones at Turner's Warehouse, but they're really excellent. He hand makes them here in the U.S. They're really good. The Turner's Warehouse ones are good too, but slight difference in quality between Brian's, TBC Bushings, his name's Brian Nikitas, and the Turner's ones. Paul's got a question. Doesn't the bushing mess up the carbide? No. I mean, if you sit there and cut into it, yeah, it might, you know. But it's not like it dings it up or anything. Like I said, you don't really want to be sitting there cutting on it, but I nick them sometimes. It's not a big deal. Carbide's harder than steel, so you know they use carbide cutters to cut. And actually, you know, Easy Wood Tools, that's where the cutters that they use, the company that makes them, they used to make, you know, machining cutters. That's where it started. So that's why they have a lot of experience with carbide, and that's why theirs is some of the best out there. Many years of it, but yeah, carbide doesn't. It'll even cut steel. Yeah, I think that little blob did all I needed. So that'll be kind of interesting. It doesn't look terrible or anything. It's just going to be kind of, you know, it's not going to be orange. You're going to have this little white dot kind of sticking out. It'll be kind of neat looking, actually. Actually, I think I need to cut back. I'm going to switch back to that standard cutter. Just like I said, that burl is so hard that I really need to put a lot of force into, you know, like trying to cut with the negative rake on this thing. And I want to do some kind of, basically at the bushing it's flush, but it's kind of fat right here. So I want to just kind of trim that back with the standard cutter. And it'll be much easier with the, you know, the more aggressive cutter to just kind of sneak up on that and shave a little bit away. Because what's happening is I'm sanding this, but I can see this line kind of right at the edge where the sandpaper's not really hitting it unless I kind of push it in there, which means that it's fatter, probably about a 1/16 inch back from the bushing. It starts to get kind of fatter right there. So we're just going to kind of sneak in here. Hopefully this won't be the famous last words thing, like one more cut, you know. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Go back to our 180 grit and see if that's working. That's looking better, I think. Well, actually, this is the front end of this isn't where the clip goes. This is like the body kind of, or whatever, the nib section, I think. Where's the other? Yeah. The clip is gonna go on this one, so it'll be right at the end of the clip, maybe. Or maybe it'll reach there, I don't know, I guess. I don't know. We'll see when we're assembling. We'll just have to see what's going on. Okay. It's all nice and smooth. Let's move up to the 240 grit. find that. There it is. I'm going to wipe it off. A little bit of denatured alcohol real quick. I like to do that in between coats just to make sure there's no extra little bits of dust or sanding grit stuff, all that. We are making a cigar style pen. But yeah, I would probably cover something like that up. You never know though, you know, when we assemble everything, we're putting it together, it may actually look like kind of cool. It may be like a bonus design element, you know, that you couldn't recreate if you tried. We'll just have to see how it looks. If it's terrible, it may just go on the bottom of the pen, the back side. All right, on to the 400. Nope, first wipe it off. Yeah, well, yeah, you don't want, Paul was talking about you don't want router bits to touch steel. No, because they'll grab. It's a little bit more, and they are kind of brittle, so you would have to watch out. It kind of gets into, there's different grades, there's different operations and all kinds of different stuff, but you just have to kind of, watch what you're doing. But it's not like it's grabbing into it either. That's the thing, is, it can kind of touch it, nick it, but it's not really like cutting it, in the traditional sense. So it just kind of bounces off. But in general, you don't really want to be cutting on steel, hardened steel with carbide. Okay, give it one more wipe real quick with denatured alcohol. And we'll apply a finish. That thing's looking pretty good. Oh, sorry guys. Camera. get you in front of this thing here. There it is before, that's sanded up to 400. It's looking good though, I think. And I mean, that's, I don't know, it's not, I don't think that thing's gonna be super terrible in the end, that little white dot. It might kind of stick out a little bit. You just say, yeah, I planned it that way. That's the eye of the tiger. All right, so I need some paper towels here. And I think I'm gonna put on, I'm just gonna give it one coat with the super thin, just in case there's any little areas, especially when you're dealing with stuff like mixed materials, especially aluminum, honeycomb type stuff, where again, regardless of which honeycomb you use, it's still just not the most amazing bond. You know, you're trying to put resin on something that's super smooth. And so if there are any little areas that, you know, there may be like a gap or something in there, this super thin will kind of penetrate down in there and just keep everything nice and kind of glued together, you know, fill any issues that you might have. Are you guys okay? Got the camera working this time. And I'm just gonna let that cure. I'm not gonna spray it with anything because I want it to kind of soak in, you know, in a sense. Yeah, where to place your fingers, yes. It's a feature. And then for the actual finish, I like to use Mercury Thin Flex, personally. And everybody's kind of got their own little recipe. I know a lot of people like to kind of hit it with the thin for like a coat or two. Kind of similar to what I was doing, but I don't find this stuff, like this doesn't really soak in to stuff like that the same way that the super thin from Starbond does. This one's a little bit thicker viscosity. But some people, like Chad just did a video, or he did something somewhere where he likes to put on like a coat or two of thin flex and then like 5 coats of medium flex. So, you know, whichever way you like to do it is the way that you should do it. They all work, you know. I like to just put a bunch of thin coats on. I find that I can get it on nice and even with this, so we'll probably put about 6 or 7 coats on, something like that. So there's one, and you always want to use the accelerator with the thin flex, medium or thin. Or sorry, the flex from Mercury, you always want to use the accelerator. It's meant to be used with it. But it was interesting, Chad did a whole thing about, you know, should you use the flex from Mercury or their regular one, and the flex was actually, you know, invented or whatever for specifically for finishing. It gives it a little bit more flexibility, whereas, you know, the standard from Mercury and most other CA glues are more of a hard brittle finish, and so you can down the road run into problems if there's any expansion contraction with temperature changes, or, you know, if you drop it can crack a lot easier with the standard ones. This stuff is a little bit more durable, so it's pretty cool. I like it because I like the working time. I like the finish it provides. It just seems very clear. So I didn't really start using this because it was supposed to be like a finish or whatever. But it was interesting learning that from that video. Yeah, the colors are really starting to kind of, you know, the CA finish is really bringing out, especially the wood. You know, that Burl looked kind of dull before. And, you know, you put a CA finish on top and then it starts to kind of really pop out, and we're getting a lot more, you know, color pop from the pearls now. We got our, of course, we got our white dot. That's looking fabulous. I think we did 2 coats so far. So one thing I will say that I'm extremely happy about is the temperature has finally kind of broken here. The shop is a comfortable 76 degrees right now. That is a lot better than 86 degrees. But unfortunately, we got that mosquito fire. I don't know if you guys have been seeing that in California, right by Lake Tahoe. And so it's been like yesterday, the smoke was so bad. I don't even know. I don't even want to know what the air quality was. Like, the scale goes to like black, and I'm pretty sure it was black all day. It's just not fun. But hopefully the weather, cooler temperatures, and we're getting supposed to be getting a little bit of rain even this weekend. Hopefully that'll help put that thing out. This pen is for YouTube. Nobody in particular. We're just turning one up to see what the blanks that we made on Wednesday, to see what it looks like, basically. It's really interesting. What did we put in this one? I can't even remember. I think we might have put a little bit of blurple in there. Let's look at the notes. Super hybrids, purple, antique copper, saffron orange, and blurple. Yeah. So there's a lot of like interesting it's like 2 different types of orange kind of, and 2 different types of purple in there. Let me get you guys in, but it's really crazy the way there's like little blobs of purple popping through the orange. Let's see if I can get this like super zoomed. Look at all these like little random colors of purple popping out in there. It's really cool looking. Mostly orange there, but you got a little blob of purple. It's kind of cool. And I think that's the color shift that's kind of popping through there. So you get kind of almost like this blue and purple look. All right, so a couple more coats here and we'll be good to go. Maybe even just one. Yeah, let's do 2 just for good measure. Yeah, it's kind of a nebulous thing. Yeah, I've made quite a few pens on the channel. I do a lot of different things. My thing is mostly the resin casting for the most part, and so this is just kind of a byproduct of that, trying to see what the blanks actually look like. And then I sell pen blanks on my website, but I make pens, and I like to dabble with other random types of projects with resin and wood, resin and random stuff. Do all kinds of stuff on this channel, but for the most part, it's kind of focused on the resin casting aspects of things. That's generally the kind of the reasoning for things. Okay, so I think that ought to be plenty on this side here. Put our glues away, and we'll go back and we're going to hit this with a little bit of 400 grit just to kind of knock down it. I got it on real nice and smooth, but there's still little lines. So what I want to do is just kind of knock down those lines a little bit, get everything nice and flat, because if you leave those lines in there, it's going to show up. In the end, it's not going to be as glossy as it could have been. So just a little bit of light sanding here. You don't want to go too aggressive or else just sand it all off, And then I look, anything that's a shiny spot is a low spot, basically, that the sandpaper didn't get to. But I gotta be honest, this thing's actually looking extremely good. I mean, there's a couple little shiny spots here and there, but they're nothing to really even worry about, because we're going to be doing some more polishing anyway. So that's looking good. And then what I do at this point is we're just going to move on to the wet sanding, which means I can turn the stupid dust collector off. I love it, but I hate it. I don't like listening to that thing. Sure, you guys don't either. Time for a drink. Thanks, Donna. I appreciate it. Hey, Lord Sketch is here. What's up? I saw you over on Jake's stream. Thanks for joining the fun. Okay, so let's get our wet sanding set up here. Most important thing is the ShamWow. Wow. I still don't know where I got those things. I was like, I gotta get some ShamWows. I wish I was sponsored by ShamWow. That would be so awesome. I'm gonna have to contact them. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of get that nice and wet. And then this is a Zona, brand. It's like micro mesh basically, but it's just paper thin and color coded, so you can actually see what's going on. I know that the pads for micro mesh are color coded, but micro mesh makes the thin paper. I like the tactile feel of this better, and so I started using micro mesh. They actually have paper ones too, but they're all just like different shades of gray. And I was like, it's just useless. You have no clue what grit you're using. So anyway, Zona, this stuff's a little bit cheaper. It's made by 3M actually. That's who manufactures it. And then it's like rebranded as Zona, I guess. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we call it Zona paper. And it's a little bit cheaper and it works just as good as micro mesh. So that's what I use. You can get this stuff at Turner's Warehouse. And again, links to all this stuff, the carbide tools and the Abranet sandpaper and the Zona and all that kind of good stuff are down in the description already. You want to pick all that stuff up over at Turner's Warehouse. And they are affiliate links, so you're helping support the show with your purchase, so I appreciate that. Probably should have gotten fresh water, but whatever. Your uncle works at 3M. That's cool. My mother-in-law actually, this is many, many years ago, but she used to work at the 3M factory. Heard some interesting stories from her. Thinking things are different today, but yeah, 3M's good stuff. I always recommend, when it comes to sandpapers, abrasives, and all that stuff, don't skimp out. Don't go to Harbor Freight and buy sandpaper. They just are not, that's a case where they are not made the same. It is significantly less, like lower quality. And one of the problems is it even goes down to the adhesives that they use, the particles of the abrasive that you're using. And so there's just not enough quality control on all these things. And so, 180 grit, from a low quality control standard factory, I mean, you may have, 120 grit particles in there because it's just not separated as well. And then even that adhesive doesn't keep the particles on there. So you're running through it faster even. So there's a lot of things when it comes to abrasives. Don't skimp out on that. Get something that, Norton or 3M or Abranet's a good one. Mirka's the brand that makes Abranet. Get a good abrasive. It will last longer and it will work better. You'll get better results with it. All right, that's probably pretty good here. Stop and take a peek at it. I'm going to dry it off. And then we'll hit it with some magic juice. The juice is loose. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty good. Tell you what, my eyesight over the last 5 years has gotten worse. So it makes these pens look even better. It's great. I have to do less sanding. I'm like, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so Magic Juice is a plastic polish, kind of for pens. If you haven't seen it before, it's really good stuff. It actually got me to convert from buffing, and I was like buffing is the way to go, and it works so efficiently, and you get better results. It's quicker and it's better. I said I can't really argue with that, so I decided to switch, and I haven't looked back. So this stuff's pretty good for like pens, for stoppers, things like that. I don't know that I would mess around with it for like bowls and big things like that. It just, I think that you really kind of want to go with like, maybe start with like one of the real pastes. Even though you guys know, most of you guys know that I hate paste, but on big things like that, they can come in at that point and kind of serve a purpose, but then you're still going to have to buff to get it, super gloss and all that stuff. So large projects, probably better off doing a different type of method. For the small stuff, this stuff works great. CA finish or just resin, either way. You didn't get the notification either? Yeah, I don't know. It's just in time for wet sanding, I know. Very exciting time. All right, so step one. So this is the Magic Juice's 6 steps. And I just put a little, blob on there. And I'm going to get my lathe going about, I like it around 2,000, somewhere around there. Maybe a little lower than that. Somewhere, I personally kind of like between 15 and 2,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So like, let's just put it like 19, 18 for now. Kind of see. And then I like to just kind of turn the lathe off, get that stuff applied, then turn it back on and just light pressure, let it kind of do its magic. The number one step, it's kind of chunky and it kind of gets all over the place. So I just like to it's going to be your most aggressive, the grit, let's say, I guess, or whatever, lowest grit. I like to kind of give it a couple seconds, but this is not like a friction polish or anything like that. You're just letting the abrasive do its thing. And then once it's kind of all cleaned up, then I just like to switch to a clean part of the rag and just get all the rest of it off. A little bit more pressure. But after one step, I mean, this is, literally, I could walk away. I mean, that's probably about as good as the buffing wheels got it. With the white diamond, I mean, you could be done with step one. But we got 5 more steps. I mean, this thing's going to be popping. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. That's all right. A little area that didn't, we had a little chip out. Squeezing the juice, buddy. Yep. Yeah. If for anybody that kind of comes later or can't make it to the live, we do the replays. They're always up if you want to go back and watch. And sometimes like we're just chatting or doing stuff, so feel free to just hit it like two. Go for like the 2 times speed or whatever, and kind of skip around to the. Whoa, man, that number 2. I don't know what the deal is. That thing has been doing that. So I'm telling you guys, you got to really watch what you're doing with. I really don't think that I would recommend using a regular, even a small scrap. You got to really watch out if it's something that's not paper towel. This is not going to hurt me because it'll just rip. But it does freak you out a little bit when something like that happens. But I mean, I can't even imagine if you were trying to use like a cotton rag or something like that. I mean, that would grab your finger. So just always be careful. We're going to give number 2 another round because I didn't really get a lot of it. I think I need to press just a little bit harder off the bat with the number 2. I usually do pretty light pressure, but That number 2 grabs you. It's just like, hey. All right. I don't find the other numbers to be that grabby. Okay. And if you want to just try the magic juice, these are 1 ounce bottles, I believe. Yeah, they're 1 ounce bottles. So this is like the normal size kit. But they have kind of like a trial thing that has less. I don't know. I forget how much less, but it's maybe like something like a third of the size of these, something like that. And I don't even know what step we're on at this point. I'm just gonna go with 4. Yeah, I think that's right. I think we're on 4. And that's only like $12. So, and I mean, honestly, these things have lasted forever. So even that little, the small jars of this stuff, that it'll last you a decent amount of time. And for $12, like, I mean, I think that it's really hard not to just try it, because it's not like it requires any kind of difficult setup or extra tooling or anything like that. So I highly recommend giving it a shot. And I have a link to this stuff at Turner's Warehouse down below. Pretty good stuff. A lot of people, I don't know anyone that's like, man, that stuff's terrible. I haven't heard one person say, yeah, no thanks to it yet that's tried it. So I can't really say, you know, I got nothing bad against it. Oh, number 5. So we still have the second half of this pen too. So there's more pen turning action, shaving making to come, by the way. So we're making a cigar style pen, a 2-part twist pen. All right, so step number 6. It's aight. Jake did a video using it. It turned out it had the best results. What all did you put it up against? Did you do buffing? Or was it all just like the polishes, like paste and micro mesh? I forget exactly what all you did now. Okay, so here's the big results. You're gonna love this thing. I'm telling you, it never gets old when I stop the lathe and look at you know, the pen after I magic juice it. I'm like, whoa, it's so bright I can see myself. Camera fixed here. I'm trying to do it one-handed. Okay, I gotta do it two-handed. Ah, there we go. Man, that purple with the orange where it's popping out of there, that's really cool. Weird kind of radiation being exuded from the middle of the blank. Really cool looking. And that's not too bad. It's not awesome, but you know, worst case scenario, I can always just put this side up. This side, I should say. Which I probably would anyway. We're not going to see that anyway. It'll be on the side somewhere. So, pretty cool, looking good. So, let's hope that I didn't glue the thing to the... I forgot to, I usually try to kind of like break it free of the bushings before I finish it completely, because It's always a good idea to do that, to just make sure, because if it does crack, it's much worse when it cracks after you're done with it completely. I'm going to show you what I do with these things, because I'm sure that probably got a little bit of CA glue kind of stuck between the blank and the bushing. They do make like finishing bushings and stuff. If you're putting on a lot of CA glue, you're going to get them stuck to the bushings. Like, it'll be stuck. And if that happens, you know, you may have to come in and like take like a skew chisel or something, or a detail tool, and just kind of actually, you know, hit it, you know, like break the CA glue, like turn it off kind of. But what I do is I usually, because I don't load it up with a ton of CA glue, I'm just going to look. Yeah, so these are kind of stuck. So all I do is I'm going to give it a tap, and that's all that I need to do. That usually just breaks the end. Now this one, I added a lot of glue to that, so it may take a little bit more messing around. Yeah, that one's a little bit more stuck. I might have to kind of turn that one a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna have to turn that one a little bit. A good example, I think. So we'll get you guys in here. Try and kind of see what's happening. So I'm just going to use, I got you could either use a detail tool or a skew chisel. I think I'm going to try the detail tool. See how that goes. But whatever you got on hand will work. And you just want to come in and just barely kind of, you know, nibble that thing. Okay, so I just barely nicked the edge of that thing. I probably didn't even actually cut into the bushing. Just the outside where the finish is. I'm going to give it a tap. Oh man, this one's being a pain. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep going. A little bit more. Okay. Hopefully that's enough. There we go. Got it. So it doesn't take a whole lot. You just need to really kind of watch what you're doing so you're not, you know, cutting into your blank and all that. Now, there's one other step that I do to make sure that you don't have any issues when you go to assemble this thing. Where the heck is that thing? It is the only reason I still have a mandrel. Maybe if I can find it. Oh, there it is. It's hiding. Okay, so I'm going to get the cameras kind of reassembled here. I guess the camera. Zoom out. Show you what I do here. So what I've got here is a mandrel. This was actually the Shopsmith one. And I just, using a standard hole punch, just punch a hole in I think this is like 240 grit paper. So this is what you use mandrels for. This is what I use them for. So I'm going to put pressure down so it's following the, you know, the stem here, the rod. And then what I'm doing is, if there's any CA glue kind of hanging over the edge, if you didn't get rid of it, if you didn't square it up a little bit, then when you assemble, you would like basically crush, you know, that CA glue, and you can crack your finish. And let me tell you, from experience, that is the worst time to crack a finish, you know, when you're assembling the thing. So just do that, gets you a nice square edge. Make sure that, you know, you've gotten all the stuff off the edges, nothing's hanging over. You might even need to pull out like a little magnifying glass just to make sure there's no little particles hanging off. But there could be a little shard or something, and like I said, when you press that into your kit component, you can kind of push back on your finish and crack it. I'm going to give this just a little bit more. Just try to make sure that you're keeping it, you know, square to that end, and then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Jake likes it. Man, if Jake likes it, it's good to go. I'm feeling pretty good. Now, one other little step that I usually do is, you know, because of the way that I do this and I leave the regular bushings on, obviously there's a little bit of CA glue on these things because they stuck, you know. So what I have here, which it's almost empty, I'm going to have to refill it here. Take a little bit of acetone. So I got some acetone in this jar. Take some sort of a glass jar of some sort or something. Some cup that acetone is not going to dissolve, basically. And then you just drop them in there, and acetone dissolves CA glue. Your bushings will be nice and clean and ready to go with no CA glue on them. Look at that. Making things easy. Making it easy. Okay. Now, I'm going to go with the standard cutter just because this wood is so hard and dense that the standard cutter is just doing a way better job. And it'll get things kind of smooth. Because the negative rate cutter is a little bit, you know, because it's got the negative angle on it and it's a little bit less aggressive, you really got to push into that wood because it's so hard and dense. And this stuff will, you know, the normal cutter will just cut it much easier. Heat, I don't know that I'd want to do that. It could make the blank expand even and stuff, so I don't know. Magic Juice, Pens Plus, and Yorkshire Grit. Nice. Cool. Yeah, I just saw, I don't know if you guys saw, Carl just did a lidded box out of a blank that I brought him when we went and visited them. And it was so awesome, but he used that Pens Plus. That stuff looked pretty good on that piece. Seemed like a really simple finish too. But I do think that Magic Juice is really kind of the way to go for pens. I don't know. It just, man. The other thing that I really like is it really, none of the pens that I've made that, you know, and I've been using it now, I don't know, maybe like a year. But none of the pens that I've made using it, they don't seem to pick up oils from fingers and stuff. Like they stay glossy for quite a while, where a lot of times with just the white diamond buffing rouge, like it didn't take too long, you know, not right away, but I mean, it didn't take too long of use for it to kind of dull on you. So I've been finding it works pretty good. There's not a lot of things that I don't like about it. I don't know of anything that I don't like necessarily. I don't like number 2 grabbing the paper towel, I guess, if there's anything. All right, let's see where we're at. Nice. Yeah, I don't melamine lacquer. Huh, that's cool. Ah, Mark's already done with the great outdoors then. Sweet. All right, sorry, I was reading some stuff. So we got a little chip out there. That'll be turned away. No big deal. Yeah, it's been a little bit chippy today. I don't know. I don't know. That aluminum honeycomb, it'll get you. So far, so good. So far, so good. I love these colors. Got a little bit of green in there, some blue. And then, like I said, there's these little spalting areas where it blocks off the color, and then this stuff right here just didn't pick up any dye. A little bit right there. Interesting. It's wood dye stabilizing wood. Such an interesting thing. If I'm being honest, in general, I don't really like stabilizing. It's just a long process, and you know, it's more like something I have to do kind of thing. But when it comes to dye stabilizing, I enjoy that a lot. It's really fun coming up with different stuff. So let's get you guys on the side here. Get you a side view. Camera stopped shaking. Is it in focus? There we go. Kind of. Look at these colors. It's crazy. This little crazy, colorful area. Woo! Looking pretty good. Oh yeah, 6-hour cure. Yeah. The spray that I'm using, it's just a CA accelerator. And I recommend the Mercury brand. It's a little bit, I don't know if this, it just seems like it's less aggressive. Some accelerants or accelerators tend to, I don't know, like make the CA glue kind of cure really rapidly, and sometimes it'll even make it foam. I don't know if that, you know, it's not like I've sat there and tested a bunch of different things, but that stuff seems to be good. It works with any CA glue very well. I use it because for the most part I use Star Bond for certain types of things. It's more of a what would you call that? Typically I use the mercury for finishing, and I use the Starbond super thin and Starbond thick for like fixing things, or I'll douse woods or something like that to harden them up with the thin, and I use the thick and thin for gluing my tubes in as well. All right, so we got a little bit more to go. All right, me, have a good one. Don't work too hard on splitting that wood. Yeah, die stabilize, it really does, it's really fun. You can have a lot of fun with die stabilizing. Actually, that box, lidded box that Carl turned had a bunch of the just random chunks of die stabilized Burl in it. That's probably one of my favorite castings to make. That blank that he turned, that type of thing. Okay, so we're almost there. So one thing that I'm actually surprised that I didn't do, if you're turning aluminum honeycomb, one thing that can really help is actually just dousing the outside with the super fast thin. And at this point, I'm just nibbling off like tiny bits. And what I don't want is to rip out one of these things like I did on the other one. So I'm gonna quickly just douse this thing with some super fast thin now. And again, let that soak in, and hopefully that will just provide a little bit of extra support if there are any areas that, between the, the honeycomb and the resin or something, that, we got a little gap or we got a little issue going on. I'm surprised I actually didn't do that. And you can do that throughout the turning process. Start off, just kind of douse it and like add a little bit of CA glue every once in a while, just to kind of, as you go, just to kind of give you a little bit of insurance. Hey, what's up, Nikki? I hear you, Mark. I have a project overload and I'm not retired. I want to do all the things too. So we'll just kind of let that spin and cure. It's probably cured at this point, but Just make sure it's nice and good before I start trying to nibble away at the ends here. All right, so back to full speed. Feels like I need a little bit more taken off on this side. And then on this side, definitely. All right, that's looking pretty darn good, I think. See how I did on the bushings. Still got a little bit down there. This side's good. Still got a little on the wood side though. And again, this is a case where, you know, I'm putting a CA finish on, which means I'm going to be adding layers. I don't want this thing to be proud of the bushing at all. In fact, I mean, if anything, I would almost rather be able to kind of feel the bushing just a tiny bit. Like we're talking, you know, a few thousandths. I can still feel a little bit right there. So I'm going to take a little bit more off. I don't want that finish sticking up above my above the components, you know. I want things to match up well. Yeah, CA will repel water. I mean, fairly good. It's like, you know, it's a hard cover. It's like putting any kind of like a finish on, or like lacquer, or CA glue is really, I mean, I would say it's probably the most durable finish you can put on a pen. Anyway, it repels everything. The only thing it doesn't repel is acetone. So you don't want to get, you know, like fingernail polish remover on your pen. That will, you know, but other than that, I think it does pretty well with, you know, some of the chemicals. I think if you needed like chemical, you know, protection, then you would probably want to go with a UV finish. Actually, those things are pretty. I would say that actually that's probably the most durable thing you could possibly put on a pen. But with the ease and speed at which you can apply CA finishes, I mean, it just doesn't really make sense to mess around with the UV finish, I don't think. But you could do that too. They're pretty quick as well. But CA is just fastest, you know, the fastest way to get a finish on. All right, so first thing I'm going to do here is, even though I just did this, I think I'm still going to go with kind of a flood coat of the super thin again, just for the heck of it, because I turned a lot of that stuff off. And it really definitely is not going to hurt anything, that's for sure. Just put a quick coat of that on. Let it soak in. Hey, what's up, Dave? How's it going? Alright, so that's pretty well cured there. So then we're going to switch back to the mercury thin flex. And we'll put about 6 to 8 coats or something like that on there. Alright, get some more paper towels here. And I like to like fold it over 3 times to make sure that I don't get this stuff in my fingers. The thinner the viscosity is, the more likely you're going to get this stuff and get your fingers stuck to the paper. This stuff just seems, there's a lot of characteristics that I like about this, and it just seems to work for the way that I do things. So that's why I like it. Working time, the smoothness, everything like that. Don't glue my fingers on. That's always a bonus. Let's do one more coat. We'll call it a day. And I would recommend, you know, I'm doing this pretty quick. I would recommend, you're just going to get slightly better results probably letting that cure a little bit longer. Like give it 10 or 15 minutes. I think that you're probably going to get slightly better results. If you're in a hurry, you know, it works fine. But what ends up happening is, you know, the longer that this kind of sits and cures, because it's still a little bit kind of, I don't know, almost like rubbery feeling. The water helps it like fully cure when I wet sand, but you know, giving this a little bit more time to harden up, it'll polish a little bit better, it'll sand better. So just a little side note, let's say. But in a pinch, you know, you can just start going. So they need CA between the lips, yeah. I hear that. This one I didn't really get as smooth application, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit more sanding here than last time. This is the tiniest piece of sandpaper ever. I'm gonna get a different one. Come on. Okay. There we go. Alright, so I'm looking for any shiny spots here. Looks like I got a little low spot. I might have gone a little too aggressive by the bushing, but that'll be okay, I think. I think that's it. I think the rest of it's good to go. So, let's do some wet sanding. Everybody's favorite. Turn the dust collector off. Ah, so nice and quiet. Yeah, I need to change this water out. It's pretty gross now that I'm really looking at it. I'll be right back. Okay, well, never mind. The bathroom is being used. So, we're going to go with dirty water. Hey, what's up, Gary? How's it going? Did I even sand this thing? Now I'm feeling weird. I must have sanded it. Did I sand it? I feel like I didn't even sand this thing now. I don't know what's happening, guys. Losing my mind. All right, so we got the green going there. A little bit of gray. What are you up to today, Gary? Are you working on anything this weekend? Got anything going in the shop? Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. I don't know. We'll have to just take a peek at this thing and see. Ooh, looking good. I guess I must have sanded. I can't remember if I sanded the blank before I put the finish on. I must have, right? Yeah. Who even knows? Oh, I'm going to put the... I like to keep the ShamWow down there so that the magic juice doesn't get all over it. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's just easier, you know? So, magic juice time, and then we get to assemble this thing. Before we magic juice this, this time I'm actually going to try to take the bushings off, make sure that that doesn't cause a problem at the end there. A lot of times I actually like doing it like kind of right after I haven't done a CA finish for a while, I think, but I like to do it right after I sand with 400 often. That one's good. That one's good too. Okay. Just kind of break it loose real quick. You might want to watch out, you know, putting it back together like this, like I'm doing. I think it'll be okay, but again, it's the same issue where you could kind of crack your finish if you push it. So if you break them loose, a lot of times it's not a bad idea to sand and do all that stuff. So why don't we do that just to make sure. Take these guys apart. That one's a little bit tight in there. Take our bushings off. And first I'm going to, you know, use this tool thing. Back a little bit. Stop bouncing. And we'll just do a little bit of, you know, clean up the edge if there's any overhanging CA glue so that we don't mess anything up later. Probably good. And that's good. Now, the other thing about this is, because I want to put them back on the bushings, I'm going to just kind of take my fingernail and just make sure that there's nothing kind of hanging off of this either, because that could cause some issues, you know, off the edge of the bushing there. I don't really see anything standing out, but, you know, just kind of scrape it a little bit with your fingernail. And then we'll put this guy back together. And we are ready to rock and roll. This thing back in here. Okay, so magic juice time. Polishing. Let me get my little, I like to switch to these, the blue paper towels, you know, the Scott shop towels. They're a little bit less abrasive than like, the other brand that I use, just the regular paper towels, are Bounty. Those things are a lot more like kind of abrasive. So I'm going with, you know, the least abrasive paper towel that I got. And there's other things out there that are, you know, non-scratch that will still rip, you know. So but be careful. You don't want to be using a rag that doesn't rip if it does get caught up on the lathe. And so, like, you know, this is 2 weeks in a row where I've had the paper towel wrap up on the thing, which, you know, doesn't matter. It's just a paper towel. I'm not going to get hurt with a paper towel. But if it wasn't a paper towel and my finger got stuck in there, that would be problematic, you know. So we're going to get the speed going around like 1800, somewhere around there, 2000. Get this wiped in here, spread around on the blank. Light pressure, let the abrasive do the work. And again, you don't want to put lots of pressure and all that. This is not a friction polish. This is just an abrasive basically, so don't need a lot of pressure there. There we go. Ooh, I'm telling you, after step one, you could just be done. Wow. Looking good. Okay, step 2. This is the one that keeps wrapping up on me. Let's see how this goes. Going back and forth. Nice, that's cool. You need to get TV out in the, or your phone or whatever out in the shop. Then you can just listen and work. There's a lot of people that do that actually. They're out there making a pen and kind of listening. All right, so let's see if this one wraps up on me. I'm going to give it a little bit more pressure than I was doing before. There we go, that's a little bit better. And clean it off and then skip to step 3. Okay. Wipe it off, and then step 4. It goes pretty. Yeah, oh, I hear you. Yeah, actually, I don't listen to. If I'm like casting or using a tool, I don't really listen to things where people are talking. Part of the problem is, so it's one of two things. I'm either not listening to the, you know, like I don't even like listening to like audiobooks or podcasts or something like that. Because part of the problem is if I'm either paying attention to the book or I'm not, right? So which means I'm also either paying attention to the work or I'm not. I can't really do both and know what was going on. I mean, I can listen to an audiobook, but I don't know what just happened, you know, when I'm focusing on something else. So I find it to be kind of useless to do that myself. Music's fine. I'm not really like paying attention to that. I just like the beat. Don't really have to think much to do that. I'm kind of I gotta be focused on one thing at a time though. Otherwise, bad things happen. Or just not very good things. All right, step 6. We're already there. All right, let's see how this thing turned out. Looks like I might have screwed the CA finish up a little bit actually on this one. On the back end there, it looks like I might have kind of burned through there. Right there. I don't know what to do about that. I was being a little bit more aggressive on that end when I was sanding. So let's see if so the problem is I just put a bunch of polished stuff on there, which I don't know if this has any like waxes or anything in there. So let's take a little bit of acetone to it, or not acetone. Let's take denatured alcohol to it. Acetone is just going to dissolve the rest of the CA finish. I'm going to hit this with some denatured alcohol, and what I'm trying to do is just get rid of anything that might have been in the magic juice that would cause issues with adhesion. I want to put some more CA glue on this thing. So I'm just gonna give this a good wiping here. Get the magic juice out of the way. So we're gonna put a few more coats of CA finish on there. We'll see. Number one, what I'm gonna do is also, I'm gonna scuff it with some 400. We gotta kind of start over here. But I don't, it's just not looking good, you know? Just not really doing what I want. Where's my little 500 pad? It's even better. $240, $80, $400. Okay. There we go. I got a little pad here too. This will just kind of, this is 500 grit. Okay, so we are gonna hit it with denatured alcohol one more time just to wipe off whatever dust I just left on there. And then we're gonna add a few more coats of CA finish and do the process one more time. I could probably listen to like an audio something while I'm turning. I could probably do that. Like turning a pen or something, stuff that doesn't really require a ton of attention. But like I would not listen to like a book or anything like that if I was using the table saw. Or, you know, things like that. It's too easy to either not listen at all to what I'm listening to or get distracted, which is that kind of scares me. Yeah. Huh. Oh, yeah. No, well, sometimes this happens, you know. I kind of it's kind of a funky shape, and I went a little bit deep on that end, and so things were just a little bit kind of weird on this one. Not a big deal. You just add a little bit more CA finish. Easy fix. I was, like I said, I was pretty aggressive sanding on that end because it just, things were a little bit kind of weird. So I gave it more. That's the tough thing, is I don't put a lot of CA glue on my pens. And so it's pretty easy for me to burn through them. You know, other people load up many thicker coats. And so the problem is you got, a lot of times what that leads to is a lot more sanding because it doesn't go on as smooth. So I try to kind of walk a thin line where I'm putting just enough on and not, you know, sanding a whole lot, and you know, it's pretty good. So now we got, I got to hit the dust collector. I don't like breathing the dust from this stuff. So I'm going to be a little bit less you know, like aggressive or whatever. I'm not going to sand as much this time. Take a peek at it. That's pretty smooth. Did a pretty good job on that one. Still a little bit low. The other thing is there is a little bit of a low spot next to the bushing. Anyway, I'm just going to come with this 500 pad and smooth everything out a little bit more. That ought to be good. So bring back the wet sanding equipment. Turn off the dust collector. Not a big deal. I can go get fresh water now too. So there's that. All right. This time it's going to look even better. I still can't remember if I sanded the pen though. I'm going to have to go back and watch again. Okay, so get some water on there. There we go. Okay, switch to the gray. That should be good, I think. All right, let's take a look real quick at this thing, see what's going on. Looking good. Blow off any water that might have got in between there. And back to the magic juice. Get some more blue paper towels here. All right, step one. Get that speed correct. Nice. Step one, let's do this. I was teasing you guys before. I was like, oh, we're done. We're not done. Just kidding. More work to be done. There we go. Let's take a look at this now. There, that's looking better. I don't have any burn throughs on this one now. Okay. I don't like those burn throughs. That pen is expensive. Yeah. I don't really move too quick when I'm doing this type of stuff. I like to just kind of chill, enjoy. Okay. Step 2, done. Step 3. Done. Step 4. Done. We're just burning through these today. Nice and covered there. Okay, final step, and then we can see the big reveal. And assemble it too. There we go. All right. Let's see how we did. Get you guys in the front here. Kind of move this way a little bit. You have a little less of that glare. There we go. Looking pretty good. Still like that purple and orange in there. We got some blue down there. A little bit of green in there. Looking pretty good. All right. I have to do the tap, tap, tap-a-roo thing again. Clean up the ends of these things. We'll get that little mandrel with the sandpaper out again. Just to make sure. I kind of doubt that there's really a whole lot of material. I didn't put on a whole lot of extra CA glue at the time. Okay. So I'm going to go set up the pen press, get that thing ready. along with our components. And I'm going to drop, again, I'm going to drop these bushings into this is a jar full of acetone. I'll clean off any CA glue. Just kind of leave that in there. It doesn't take that long to clean it up either. You usually pull it out in a couple minutes, really. Pen press, pen press. All right, and I'm probably going to need a light too, because let's get this thing zoomed in. That's the wrong one. There we go. Oh, that's pretty bright, actually. Huh. Not bad. That's kind of weird. Okay, let's get our parts laid out here. Got a nib. I like to kind of arrange these things, get them kind of ready. There, there, and there. And I got a couple other components that go with this as well, but we'll just start putting these. Oh my gosh, it's slippery. Magic juice. Ooh. Slippery juice. Okay. Ooh. Tight fit. Ooh, man. That took some serious force. Okay. We got one part done. Here we go. I got that part done. Yeah, I think gold was the right way to go with this. Seems to just match all those colors in there. Okay, so let me go get the ink. Got that over here. There's a little thing on there. No. Put our ink in like that. Put the transmission thing right here. It's a little sticky, but it works. Yeah, okay. It just needed a little bit of help. Okay. All right, so now we're at the point where we need to make some decisions. Yeah, that thing doesn't really stick out that much. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, I don't think. So this will be the front. Doesn't matter which one. I think this is the way it goes. I could probably put it either way. I kind of like the... yeah, I like this best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put it on like this. I like that look. That looks pretty good. Because I kind of like this little green patch. There's a little green patch right on the... Getting too close, so that's the problem. I need to get a light because this is just not working. I can't show you guys. I really need to get a ring light around that camera. Let's try this. Can you see now? Oh, looks like there still might be a scrape or something under there. Huh. Well, too late at this point, but there's a little bit of green in the wood right there that I really like. And that thing would probably just get covered. So we're going to go this way with it. And then it's going to end up looking like, you know, like that kind of. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay. Okay, here we go. Nice. And the nice thing about the cigar kits is you don't have to like line up all the components when you're doing it. You can just go for it, have at it, just push it together basically. Oof, that's tight. There we go. Okay. There we have it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and then just move the thing up into it. I don't know. I'm kind of digging this. What do you guys think about this? Maybe you should have put the clip a little bit further on this side. There we go. I actually can move it. I'll get a better shot of this on Instagram where I can get better lighting. Pretty good. Maybe not the best pen I've ever turned in my life, personally. But that's just my skills. This thing's pretty awesome. I really like the color combinations with the wood, and pretty cool. And it even works. I don't really mind that little white thing though. It actually doesn't really look bad. I don't think that if you handed this pen to somebody, it would really stick out to them. It's just like a different color there. It almost has a little bit of, I don't know, there's almost like a weird reflection too. It reflects colors. Sweet. All right. Whew. We had a few CA glue problems today, but that's okay. You just can't win them all, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get a drink here and read some comments. See what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Yeah, I like the colors and textures too. It's pretty cool. That's the fun part about hybrid stuff. And then that's one of the reasons why I really like putting, you know, things like aluminum honeycomb or whatever. Having a lot of different things going on in there just makes it, you know, so much more fun. For me, anyway. Sweet. Well, cool. All right, that's all we got for today. So again, the rest of the blanks, these are going to be going in the mystery boxes for people that are subscribers to the mystery box, not YouTube subscribers. You know, so those will go out at the end of the month. We got one more thing. Let's see. I'm trying to think about the pen. I think I got the pen blanks are done on the mystery boxes. I just need to make some handle blanks now. So I'm not sure if we'll do that on the stream, or if I'll just make some. I might just make some of my own mysteries. So it should be pretty cool. So again, reminder: next week we're not doing live streaming. I'm going to be working on the other mystery box, the mystery box from Turner's Warehouse. I should really just change. I think I should just change my mystery box to subscription blank thing, but. We've got a little bit of some interesting stuff going on here. So this box is full of I don't know what. If you guys could read those cartoon things, you might get a clue as to what's in there, but I don't know what kind of project. So I'm going to be working on that video next week when I would have been doing the live streams, so that I can get that thing up. I'm hoping to maybe get it done by next Sunday. We'll see. It just depends on how the editing and all that kind of stuff goes. It kind of depends on what's in the box too, if I can get it done quick enough. So it's either going to be next weekend or the weekend after. The mystery box video will be up, so that's pretty cool. And again, links in the description to everything. I don't know, does anybody have any questions before we get going? I think that's all that I got for today. But I appreciate you guys joining the fun. Yeah, this thing does look pretty darn good. All right, look, I'm just a little disappointed in my my pen turning skills today, running into some issues. But the one thing, so the one thing that I'm really, for myself, kind of a pat on the back, I'm really glad that I went with gold, because I think that was the color choice for the you know, for matching for the plating on that thing. I think that was the right way to go. So let's see. So I hope you guys can get in the shop and make some fun stuff too. Get in there, do some pen turning, all that kind of good stuff, or whatever you got, some resin casting. I'm not seeing any questions. There's always there's a lag, so I'm not sure where we're at, you know. I've done it before where I ask if anybody has a question, then I shut the thing off before they've even heard that from on the video part. I don't think there's any questions. I think we're good to go here. So again, I appreciate everybody joining the fun today. No streams next week. We'll be back in action the week after that. And let's see, any other news or and don't forget the ornament challenge is going on at Turner's Warehouse. I need to get a link down in the, I don't have one yet. So let me get a link to their thing before we go. The ornament challenge at Turner's Warehouse is on, and it's begun. So you can start making your ornaments, and it's going to Toys for Tots. So you can learn all about that. I went into it a little bit more in the last stream, but basically you turn an ornament, send it to Turner's Warehouse. They're going to auction them all off, and the money they raise from the auctions is going to be 100% donated to Toys for Tots. Really awesome charity event, and it's a fun one. So, and there's prizes available too. So all the information that you need to know follow that link, and there's like a little entry form thing, but you will have to physically ship your ornament to Turner's Warehouse. So just to kind of let you know, but it's a pretty fun one. We'll be doing that down the road here, probably in October. Some like early October is when hopefully I don't know what I'm going to make yet, so I got to come up with a plan for that, and then we'll probably do it on the live stream. We'll make the blank and then turn it. So anyway, guys, again, thanks for joining the fun today. I hope you have a great rest of the evening or afternoon, wherever you're at. And I will see you guys all on the next